Good afternoon, girls. I hope you guys are having a lovely half snow day. I still wanted to make sure that we got some stuff done today because I know that that we can get behind in this class really easily, especially only meeting once a week. So make sure that you take some notes. Wink, wink. I think I said that in my email. And also make sure that you have your book because we're going to be using that a little bit also today. If you hear a baby crying in the background, it's because it's nap time. So hopefully they'll let me get through it. Um, things that you do need to remember. If you have not been observed yet, you need to have it done this week, which is kind of difficult because this week is going to go by quick. If not, you are going to receive late credit. I observed 2 on Friday and Carol observed 2, so I think that leaves about 3 left that needs to be observed. And I believe I'm observing someone tomorrow morning. Something else to remember, that your school district projects are due March 17th, which is the first day back from spring break. So make sure that you're are looking into those. I will tell you that over spring break, I will be at the beach with my family and my in-laws, but I will be answering emails. The weekend, the end of the weekend right before we come back, so like 2 days before this is due, I do have Charlotte's 3rd birthday party and company in town, and then Jay leaves the next day. So I just want to be honest with you that if you have any questions, you will definitely get a quick response during the week, but on the weekend, you might have to wait a while. So if I were you, I would definitely at least look into everything and make sure you don't have questions before then. Okay, so let's get going. Frequency counts is one of the things that we are talking about this week. Frequency counts just measures repeated actions of a child or a group. You can do this several different ways. As an upper elementary school teacher, I saw it done several different ways. One of them is teachers would write the word recess on the board. Every time that the students as a group was too loud or was disrespectful to each other or didn't do one of the class rules, the teacher would erase a letter. That's basically frequency counts. Let's see, recess, R-E-C-E-S-S. So 6 times they had until their recess was gone. That's basically frequency counts. You are seeing how you're counting an action of a student or a group of students. The method is super quick to tally and gather information. I know that when Judy and Carol were here, they were talking about putting cotton balls in one pocket, and every time a child did something as you're teaching, you would take one cotton ball from your right pocket and put it in your left pocket. Or you can switch rubber bands around your wrist. Most of the time, you're going to be counting an action throughout the entire day, and so you're not going to be able to sit there with a pen and paper and tally something. It needs to be something that's portable that can go with you as you're walking to music class or PE class or recess or picking them up from lunch, any of those things. What the main purpose of frequency counts is to try to monitor and change undesirable behavior. So I saw this a lot, and what would happen is I would bring up a certain undesirable behavior that was happening with a student in my classroom. Let's even just say shouting out in class, something as simple as that. If it was something that was far above and beyond what all the other students were doing, I would bring it up to my child study meeting. The child study meeting would understand that I was seeing a problem in class, and they would direct me to collect data. That's what frequency counts is. I would then count the frequency that it would happen in class. So I would come back with a plan, or I would come back with some numbers. On Monday, Johnny shouted out 6 times in class. On Tuesday, it was 8 times. On Wednesday, it was 5 times. And then we would try to get to the root of the problem. A lot of times we would even narrow it down to say if it was just in transition time or if it was after lunch but not before lunch, and we would try to get to the root of the problem. But what this really does is you're just simply counting an action. So it is fairly simple to understand. Again, it's quick and easy. It's to be used in quantitative measurement. This is not something that we're saying that they are getting better or worse at something. Quantitative, we have to have a number with that. The only thing is that there are no details that are recorded with this. It measures only one kind of behavior, and it allows a recorder's bias. What I might consider shouting out in class, my partner teacher might not. They might consider that participating in class. So it does allow some bias, and so you have to be very specific with communicating with the rest of your team what you actually count as shouting out in class. And again, it only measures one kind of behavior, so if a lot of things are going on with the kid, you can only really hone in on one thing, and no details again. If it's only happening in the morning, is it because they're hungry or they're sleepy, or so it doesn't really get very specific with what's going on. That's frequency counts. It's super simple. There is a frequency counts chart up on Moodle for you to use, and I want you to choose any item you want and then count how many times your particular student does that. For some of you, you have very interesting students, and you might want to count how many times the kid rolls his eyes during circle time. Mackenzie, I'm kind of talking about you. Let's see, what's some of your other students? I know that in one of the schools, Lauren, I think you had a nail biter. How many times you see that child bite his nails? It can be different activities for your different schools and your different kids. That works. But that a form, an editable form, is on Moodle for you, so you can start filling that out this week, hopefully. The second thing we're talking about this week, and I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get to be together because I was going to read you a super, super cute book called The Way I Feel, and we were going to do a little activity. But we're also going to talk about pro-social and anti-social behavior. Two different types of behaviors that children can exhibit. One child can exhibit both throughout the day. Groups of children are emotionally and socially immature, which leads to conflicts. You guys have been in preschool classrooms for a good couple weeks now, and you can see even the good kids, they seem to have some conflicts sometimes, and it's because they are so emotionally immature. Pro-social behavior is the outward manifestation of empathy. Okay, so the child understands that something funny happened, and so they're going to laugh with you. They understand that you got hurt, so they're going to come check on you. They understand that you sneezed, and so they're going to bring you a tissue, okay? It's empathy to the extreme is what they call pro-social behavior. In your textbook, figure 5.2, in chapter 5, if you look at that, you can see that some students have just pro-social behavior. Some have anti-social behavior, and you can see that sometimes they have both of them. I wanted you to specifically look at Huey, I think his name is, H-U-Y, Edward, and Carol. And let me look at it in my textbook also really quick, because I did want to bring up a couple of points. We can see that Huey has nothing. So just by looking at this graph, we can't tell what in the world, was he there that day? Was he absent? And then later on in the text, it shares with us that he does not speak English. And so that is a big eye-opener. Again, frequency counts doesn't give us backgrounds or any stories. They just basically are counting. And that really shows that Huey is, that he can't communicate pro or anti. He cannot be social with his peers. So that's something really big to notice. Let's look at Edward real quick. Edward is having a tough day, and you can see that Edward was exhibiting behaviors of hurting and hoarding, bad name calling, rejecting another child. So he was kind of having a rough day. Now that can just simply show that his parents got in an argument that night, that he missed the bus. This is just one little snapshot of a child, and that needs to be remembered. Okay, because I think that we all, if someone followed us around every day, there would be definitely some days that they were all antisocial. Carol, on the other hand, looks like that she is up in everybody's business. She's got pro-social behaviors and antisocial behaviors. And now that I'm thinking about it, I believe your frequency counts is simply telling me if your child had pro-social or antisocial behavior. I'm going to change that from the beginning. I want you to tell me how many pro-social behaviors your student had and antisocial behaviors, not the other stuff I was talking about before. I just want to make sure that I'm telling you guys right so you don't get confused. Emotional development is a big thing. You can, as adults, I would say that a lot of us can relate to the poster on the left, and we've all seen that poster. But if you think about it, most of the time, kids cannot, in very early years, they can't feel mischievous, or they don't know that they're feeling mischievous or frightened or confident or hysterical. We can hone in and tap our inner selves and say, okay, I understand that right now I'm shocked. That's why I'm feeling this way. I picked the other poster because Miss Beam used that in the fall, and I recognized that one, and I liked it. I like that poster has a good deal less amount of emotions for us to see. If we're talking about little kids, they are not going to be able to identify as many emotions. Children are only able to recognize core emotions, and they do not know how to handle their emotions at a very, very young age. And so that's something that we just need to be aware of when we are in those preschool classrooms, and if we are going to become a preschool teacher, because a lot of times that is the root to a lot of the problems, is they don't know what to do with those emotions. Emotions, of course, are common to all humans, but have three core emotions. So at a very young age, everyone can feel fear, rage, and love. And then from those core emotions, and if you look back at that posters, both those posters, all of those seem to stem from fear, rage, and love. And I think if you really, really think about it and you get to the root of what you're feeling, you would agree with that. As the child develops, their emotions are experienced along the spectrum, and there is a really good chart in your book about that also, about how all of those kind of just come from there. I think it's on page 137 that you can see that at 6 weeks you can experience joy. 3 to 4 months, anger and sadness can happen. And if you have gone through the child development class yet, and you've been around children of all different ages, you're going to definitely see that, hey, I can see how that, I can totally see how that works. So if you're looking at figure 5.4 and 5.5 on page 137, I just want you to think how we see these emotions in the classroom, okay? And I just want you to think in your classroom that you are serving in this past week or this week, how have you seen some of those emotions? Even go into the activity level. How are children different? If they have more of a reproach or withdrawal type of personality. How distracted they are. Everybody's different, and everyone feels different things, and we can definitely say that as adults also. All humans are born with emotions, but what they choose to do with them is the socialization of emotions. And I think you can really see that, and a lot of times we just call that maturity. I used to talk to my 10-year-olds. A lot of times the boys would have issues with socialization of their emotions. I know you're angry, but you can't punch. I know that you're upset, but you've got to eventually learn how to be upset and still get through the day. And so that's something that kids eventually learn how to do. A lot of times that we have to model it for them, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it's not modeled to them at home. So when they get into your classroom, you have to help them walk through how they're feeling. I understand that you are feeling this way. Why don't you tell me more? Once they tell you more, okay, this is how we deal with you being angry or sad or upset or frustrated, and just help them walk through those emotions, and eventually they will understand. When I'm upset, it's best for me to remove myself from a situation than to blow up at someone or push them or take their toy. So that's just something that preschool teachers are, it's all over their curriculum every day. It's just not something that's written down. Um, Emotional intelligence is recognizing your own emotions and the emotions of others. School readiness and emotional intelligences are strongly, strongly linked. And I think that if you've spent some time in elementary schools, that you would agree with that. I'm a huge fan of Big Bang Theory, which some of you have already discovered this year. And this clip actually goes against that, because it is a clip of Sheldon interacting with someone else. And I wish I could show it to you, but I can't. Maybe next month. Oh, next Monday's spring break. You guys will live without the Big Bang Theory, I'm sure. But it does just show Sheldon and Amy, who are both very, very intelligent people who completely lack in all emotional intelligence. And I know that we've met those people in our lives. But it just is a good illustration of exactly what emotional intelligence is. Executive function or emotional regulation, these are keywords that you'll probably need to know later, is the ability to monitor and manage one's thinking, attention, feelings, and behavior through cognitive development. So, my heart is telling me that I'm upset because something happened, and my brain is going to kind of trump the situation and say, this is what I need to do. I know I've shown you a good amount of Daniel the Tiger. If not in this class, I know my communication disorders class, I used to show a lot of it. This TV show is specifically geared to preschool children. And both the videos I was going to show you shows specifically what you do when you feel sad or what you do when you're upset, and it has a cute little jingle that goes with it. I'll sing them sometimes to Charlotte when she's acting a fool, and she'll think, Mommy's right, I remember that now. But something else that we were going to do, practicing emotions. The book that I was going to read y'all, The Way I Feel, is cute, and if you want to pick it up sometime and read it, I would highly recommend it. We were going to discuss why we should practice emotions with small children, and we've kind of talked about that already. But very quick lesson. Typically it takes us a lot longer because you guys can talk back to me. Quiz time, not really. Isn't he a cute little hippo? But next time, things to think about. There's a lot on your plate this week. Luckily, you have 2 weeks. Read chapter 6 for next week, or the week after spring break, rather. Advancing communication skills. There is something you need to fill out for that on Moodle for both schools. Your frequency count, that's up there for both schools, and your school district report. All of those things are due the Monday after spring break. Again, if you have any questions ever, please feel free to text me or email me. And can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday, and I hope you had a good half snow day.